So here we can first sketch a diagram of an incline, and as well having an object of mass m on the incline. So we can sketch a force diagram. So mainly we have our normal force here, and we have the force due to gravity that's pointing towards the center of the Earth. And as a result of the gravity, where you have components for mg, the force of static friction would essentially resist rolling down a certain incline. So here, if you have an angle theta, this is the component basically opposite direction to the normal force is mg cosine theta, while that for friction is mg sine theta. So since the normal force is equivalent to mg cosine theta, the magnitudes are equal. We can essentially find that when we know that the force of friction is equivalent to the coefficient of static friction times the normal force. And in this case, our normal force is mg cosine theta. So this is the coefficient of static friction, mg cosine theta. So in order for our car or object not to slide down the ramp, we have to make sure that we have a force of friction that is larger than the component in the direction of incline due to gravity. So the force of friction must be greater than mg sine theta in order for our object not to slide down our incline here. So now we're given different angles. So in our first case, we have an angle of theta where theta equals 12 degrees, and we can essentially check if our conditions are satisfied. So the mass really doesn't matter since the mass and the acceleration due to gravity cancel out on both sides. So our main condition in the end is just that the static friction times cosine theta must be greater than sine theta. So based on this information here, we have information that our our coefficient of static friction is equivalent to 0.15. So 0.15 cosine of 12 degrees, then sine of 12 degrees. We can see that this inequality is not satisfied in this case, so this certain driveway is not safe to park in. And then we have our second case when theta equals 9 degrees, and we're going to check the exact same condition. And once again, we find that sine of theta is actually greater than the coefficient of static friction times cosine theta. And for our third incline, we have our angle that is 6 degrees. And in this case, we find that it's essentially fine to park on the third incline. So we will park on the driveway across the street. And this is our final answer.